Hi, I'm Coach Mia, and welcome to another episode of Caribbean Straight Talk with real conversation and great interviews. And now, here are your hosts for the show.
Good evening. Welcome to Caribbean Straight Talk. My name is Georges Bossous Jr. Tonight, we have a great show for you again. We have some special guests, and we're going to be talking about real issues that are important to you. And as we said here in this show, we keep it real. We're going to have real questions, and we're going to discuss some important matters. With me, my co-host and friend, Lyma Dunbar. Lyma, what do you have for us today?
Hey, how y'all doing? This is Lyma Dunbar, a co-host of Caribbean Straight Talk. What we have today, we've got some really outstanding guests. One of them, he's going to go on to represent Florida. We hope, we pray, we kind of like putting it out there. And his name is Mr. Maxwell Frost. And then, of course, bringing up the rare, but by no means the rare, Miss Sandra Fatmi, who was candidate for Commissioner for District 2. She did not win, but we see that as a platform for something greater. So those are our two guests. And of course, we, myself and George, will be having some dialogue on some really, really good information with regards to voting and how Congress is made up and all that good stuff. So we've got, again, a really good show for you here tonight on Caribbean Straight Talk.
Absolutely. We're going to take a pause, and upon our return, we will have with us Mr. Frost. We'll be right back.
iTunes Entertainment Magazine, where the focus is to bring information and entertainment wrapped in a little something extra that is pertinent and relative to all of us, regardless of culture. Our features aim at catering somewhat to the curiosity in all of us, whether it be business, entertainment, health and wellness, immigration, our youth, and more. So please visit our website at www.itunesentertainmentmagazine.com or itunesentmagazine.com. Also inviting you to check us out on IG and Twitter at iTunes and Mag.
In music, as well as people in the community, whether not just here in the United States, but me and my country, you're going to get a community leader from that particular country that has been on the People's Chat Room. Well, we don't see Max in the waiting room just yet, so we're going to start our conversation. And what I want to start talking about until Maxwell comes on is the importance of voting, which is something that Sandra Fatmi will discuss when she comes on, because one of the things that she said on the show, the People's Chat Room on Saturday, was that in one particular precinct, there were over 4,000 people that were registered to vote. You all guess how many showed up? 1,000. Where's everyone? For some reason, people tend to think that the presidential election is the most important election, and it is not. So don't get me wrong. It's really important for us to choose the right person to represent us as the head of the country, the commander-in-chief. But for the midterms and the primaries, it's so important that you come out to vote, because those are the people that will make decisions for you. Those are the people that will represent you in Congress. Right, George?
Absolutely. These are very important individuals. And we've talked about that several times on our shows, Lyma. And we sound like a broken record because every year is the same thing, and we're encouraging people to vote. And sometimes I heard arguments that, okay, our votes don't count, and then it doesn't matter anyway, they're not going to be. But you know what? The truth is, when you don't vote and you leave your space, somebody is voting for you. Somebody is voting in your place, and decisions are going to be made on your behalf. Mm-hmm. So having your voice heard is very important, and you'll be surprised because, for example, I remember during the the Gore, elections. Right here in Florida, Gore missed only 300 votes to win.
Mm-hmm.
Only 300 votes. And sometimes you say, well, you know what, I could tell by experience because I ran for office. I understand the
Yes, yes,
importance
yes.
of
We need to
every
talk about
single.
that. I think that, this is a good segue to talk about that you did run for office in the Miami area. Was that District 8?
108, 108.
108, 108. I know there was an 8 in it somewhere.
Yeah.
So I think whether it's this show or an upcoming show, we'd like you to talk about that. But I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead and bring that
Absolutely.
up, please. The importance of voting.
No, absolutely. It's very important because every bit of vote, every single one of them really can and will make a difference. And sometimes people don't realize the power of the local authorities because they are in direct contact with you and they're making direct decisions that would affect you individually in your family. So before something came from Washington, in the White House, those guys are the first responders. They are the first one making decisions for the state, for the local, population. So they are extremely important. The judges are important. The mayors are important. The state representatives are important. The state senates are extremely important. The commissioners are very important. They are with you before something goes all the way to Washington. They are to be dealt here. So don't dismiss this because this is extremely important. Please, once more, go out and vote. Make sure that somebody, if you have an issue, before you vote for a candidate, just look at their platform. Look what they'll bring to you. See how that relates to your family, your livelihood, and then make your decision. We're not going to tell you who to vote, but you could make that decision on your own based on the information provided here on Caribbean Straight Talk.
When you said we're not going to tell you who to vote for, you heard me laughing, right? Because I am very opinionated and I tend to think that there are times people need to be led by the hand. And one of the things I always believe in is this. You can Google a restaurant where you want to go eat some food. You can Google the cuisine for that restaurant. You can Google anything you want because you got that little miniature computer in your pocketbook or in your hand. But people will not, they don't seem to understand that you could use that same miniature computer, which is your phone, your smartphone, to get the information that you need. And on the particular candidate or on the judge. And Googling a judge is really simple. All you got to do is Google who appointed that judge. Based on who appointed that judge, then you have an idea of the standing for that judge, whether that judge is Republican leaning, because remember, judges are not supposed to be partisan, whether that judge is Republican leaning or Democrat leaning, or if they're a centrist, which I think most times is the best one to have, because you don't really want to play the Dem card or the Republican card, at least in a perfect world. You really want to go centrist. But some of the information that I dug up, and then we're gonna take a break because I'm gonna reach out to Max to see where he's at, is the breakdown of Congress, because Congress is the House of Representatives and then it's the Senate. So I needed to refresh my memory on the numbers, but for the House of Representatives, we've got 435 members, and then it's supposed to split. Ideally, of course, you want it split down the center, but that was back in the day when the Republicans could be depended on to actually do the right thing. Okay, but not right now. So I think currently we've got 220 Democrats. So they're the majority in the House of Representatives, and we have 211 Republicans. And then you have 4 seats that are vacant, of which they have to fill, and the House of Representatives, they're in power for 2 years. 2 years. With the Senate, that's totally different. They can hold their seat for 6 years. Right now, you've got, I believe, 48 Democrats with 2 independents that tend to vote with the Democrats. And then if you want a majority, you've got Kamala Harris or the vice president to take you for that threshold. So right now, how we looking? We looking kind of with Roe versus Wade. Of course, that kind of lit a fire under the majority of women. We spoke about that on the show last week. And now you find that hopefully the Democrats take the majority of in the Senate. Okay, and they hold on to the lead in the House of Representatives, and of course, add on a couple more to really have a big lead in the House of Representatives.
And this one thing that I think that I'm looking forward to address with Mr. Frost when he wins, and I say when he wins because I know Frost. We worked together before. He's a great guy, but how does that gonna look like? What are we going to do as if we win this election to reverse that? And this is what people don't understand in terms of importance of voting, because when you vote a president, the president would appoint judges, federal judges, and just all the way to the Supreme Court. So those guys, once they are elected, especially the one at the Supreme Court, they are there for life. In other words, their decisions are going to affect an entire generation. It will take about another 50 years to see what's going to happen and the impact and the effect of their decisions. So when you think that, okay, well, I'm just looking at the president, and because some of us from the Caribbean, it's very presidential, those kind of governmental structures, and we always look up the president. But here in the U.S., there's a structure. There are powers, and those powers, they are check and balance, and those guys are very extremely influential. So a judge in the federal government, or the structure, a judge in the Supreme Court, they are making decisions that are affecting your life every single day. And who's appointing them? The person that you vote. So don't think that it's a small thing. And you know what happened during the Obama era when they blocked him from appointing any judges, because those Republicans, they knew exactly what was going on. They wanted that to happen. And today we have Roe versus Wade overturned. A law that's been held for over 50 years, for generations, and that are affecting the lives of millions of women and men. But for one reason, for political reasons, this is what happened. So it is very important to pay attention right here, because this is the real talk. This is the real deal. When we bring this to you, know that we're really thinking of your well-being and pay attention to this, Lyma.
Yeah, well, you know what? Cool stuff. We've got Mr. Maxwell Frost in the waiting room. So I think right now we should go to a break. And when we come back on, we'll have, I want to make let me say it properly. Michelle, correct me if I said anything incorrectly. The Democratic Congressional nominee for District 10. Did I say it right? I think I did.
I think you did.
So let's take a break. And when we return, Mr. Maxwell Frost. That was a short break.
iTunes Entertainment Magazine, where the focus is to bring information and entertainment wrapped in a little something extra that is pertinent and relative to all of us, regardless of culture. Our features aim at catering somewhat to the curiosity in all of us, whether it be business, entertainment, health and wellness, immigration, our youth, and more. So please visit our website at www.itunesentertainmentmagazine.com or itunesentmagazine.com. Also inviting you to check us out on IG and Twitter at itunesentmag.
Okay.
We are back, and I'm very excited to have Mr. Frost with us. Can we bring Mr. Frost on the screen right now?
Hello.
Hi, Max. How you doing?
Doing well. Good to see you again, man. It's been years.
Good seeing you, man. It's been a while. I'm so proud of you, man. I heard what you're doing, and I always knew your mindset because you and I worked together, and I was very excited when I see you on the ballot. And for those who don't know, I'm gonna give you a few seconds to introduce yourself before Lyma get on and ask you questions. I know he's your friend, and also talk a little bit more about you. Tell us, who is Max?
Yeah, well, look, it's great to be here. Thank you, both of y'all. My name is Maxwell Alejandro Frost. I was born and raised here in Orlando, Florida. My mom's as a school teacher. My father's a musician. And I'm proud to be the Democratic nominee for Congress here in Orlando. You know, I've been fighting for the last 10 years to end gun violence in this country. What got me involved was the Sandy Hook shooting. I've worked for the ACLU. I've worked for March for Our Lives, the organization that came after the shooting that happened in Parkland. And for me, this campaign is really about building a world where everyone has the resources they need to live their lives. And that's what we should demand from government. We need folks who will be bold fighters in DC to protect our rights. And you know, I'm honored to have won this primary just about a little less than a week ago. We have a lot more work to do. We have a general election in November. So yeah, just thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome, and I'm gonna wish you luck. I know your mindset, as I mentioned, you're progressive. You basically care about the little people in our communities. And when you mention gun violence, it's one of the epidemics in our community. And I know that you have a plan for that. But before we get into it, I'm gonna pass this on to Lyma. Lyma.
You said it all. I just want to, you know, I'm really ever since Max won, well, when he started running for political, I'm sorry, my brain is just going south right now. But Max, you know, we've got your back. It's I'm so proud, and I know I speak not just for myself, but everyone that has known you for the past how much donkey years. We're so proud to see what you have become. We knew that you were heading in the right direction, but it's so nice when it becomes a reality. So again, congratulations, and let's just you know take this to the hill, take it, and just hold it down for at least 2 years, and then we want you to move on. I'm just planning your goals here. Move on to Senate so that we could have you there for 6 more years. That's
Oh no.
But let's do this first.
100%. And you know, we need everybody to register to vote. Election day is coming up in November. We have a lot of work to do. And, you know, we can't take anything for granted. And so we need everyone to go out, register to vote, make your voices heard. There's a lot of good work that, you know, I intend to do in DC and here in the community. But there's a lot of other names on the ballot. We need to get Val Demings in the Senate. We need to get Charlie Crist in the governor's mansion. We need to get rid of Ron DeSantis. And so just, again, appreciate y'all having me on to really talk about my message.
Okay, so let's jump in. One of the things that we are all concerned about is the reversal of Roe versus Wade. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. I also want to hear your thoughts on expanding the Supreme Court, or also want to hear your thoughts on felons being actually given the right to vote and not being given a poll tax that we know most of them don't even have the money to come up with at this 10th or 13th hour. And so as you discuss your campaign, if you could just give us information on that. And of course, carrying guns, you know?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it doesn't, I was looking at a movie recently where you can go die for the country at age 18. You had to be 21 to drink, but you could be 18 to own an AR-15. And of course, I mean, when they talk about the kids in Uvalde and how some of them will only recognized because of the shoes that they had on, because the weapon tore these kids to shreds. And I feel that it's time to take off the kid gloves, you know? So, I mean, thoughts on that?
Look, I 100% agree with you. And look, there's just so much work that needs to be done on Roe versus Wade. Just a few months ago, we woke up and found out that over half of our population lost one of the most intimate human rights, the right to an abortion, the right to reproductive health. And so the federal government, we need to do everything we can to codify Roe into law. We need to do everything we can, and we're urging the president and everyone to be creative on how we can use federal land to still have access to abortion for every single person in this country. And, you know, that's directly tied to what you brought up as well, Lyma, is expanding the Supreme Court. I am a supporter of the Judiciary Act of 2021, which is something that Congressman Mondeer Jones introduced into the House. And I'm honored to have his support and endorsement in this race. And what it says is it would add 4 new Supreme Court justices to the Supreme Court. And you'll have people who will say, well, Maxwell, that's packing the court. We got to be honest with ourselves. The president President Trump, he's the one who packed the court. He packed the court with conservative judges. The Republicans packed the court when they denied Barack Obama his constitutional authority to put Merrick Garland on the Supreme Court. So now we have to do the work, and I say we, hopefully if I win this race, of unpacking the court. And the only way we can do that in our current stature and the current laws is by expanding the number of judges so we can have a court that looks like the country right now. We have an overwhelmingly conservative court, one that has said that this isn't the end. They want to look at gay marriage, and then they want to look at contraception, right? And so we there is a lot of reason to be alarmed right now. That's why more than ever, elections are important. We need to make sure that Democrats retain the majority in Congress, but we also need to make sure that we expand our majority in the Senate. So that's when we talk about getting Val Demings in the Senate, Sherry Beasley in the Senate in North Carolina, Senator Reverend Raphael Warnock in the Senate, keeping him there in Georgia. We have other people, John Fetterman in Pennsylvania, Paul Ryan or Tim Ryan.
Yeah.
Tim Ryan. There's another guy.
Another one back there.
Tim Ryan in Ohio. Look, there's a lot of work we need to do. So we just need everyone to get ready to work, go out and vote, get your friends to vote, because we got to protect democracy right now.
George, any input?
Absolutely. Yeah. And one of the things, and again, I'm going to go back to it because last week I did, address that with Karen Green and the issue of immigrations, because I know that you have certain platforms that are really close to you. You're talking about gun violence, you're talking about the Roe versus Wade. But one of the issues especially in Florida, it's basically an immigrant area. And right now I came from a community where, the policy, the American policy has been affecting us very, 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 very greatly. I'm talking about the Asian American community. And as I mentioned too, I highlighted to, Dr. Green, is the deportations of Haitians have been something that we haven't seen in the past 8 years.
Yeah.
And we Haitians, we work very hard. We generally, we need to vote Democrats. And some of us in our community felt that, okay, maybe our vote is being taken for granted. Because after they came to us, they asked us to vote, and we voted, we worked, and then we overlooked. And right now, Haiti is dealing with some major security issues. My organization is going to hold a conference on Haitian security, feeling that maybe this country is becoming like a menace to the rest of the Caribbean. What are we going to do? So now, once you elected, is that something that you're going to look into? And then what would you say to this community when it comes to the immigration policy of the United States?
Well, yeah, I really, I really appreciate the question. And that, when we think about immigrants, we got to think about everyone. Yes, Latinos, but also Haitians and just people all across this world who want to come here and come to America a lot of times to be with their families. A lot of times to just seek a better life. This is personal for me. My mom and my aunt and my abuela, they came here from Cuba in the late 1960s. And so, look, I believe that our North Star should be having a speedy path to citizenship for every single undocumented immigrant in this country right now, and ensuring we're doing everything we can to make it easier. I can't tell you, I volunteered with the AFL-CIO here in Orlando to help sign people up, mainly Haitian folks, for citizenship. It is not just to get the form done. It takes so much work and is not accessible to everybody. And not just the form, but the whole process. So we need to make the process easier. We need to make the process quicker. We need to make the process cheaper, because it is very expensive to become an immigrant right now, or to become a citizen right now. And we need to ensure that no one in this country lives in fear of deportation. And so I believe in doing everything we can to halt deportations, doing everything we can to have everyone who's in this country, the common thing we hear people say is, oh, people who are in here illegally, they don't pay taxes. They pay taxes. Every time you buy something, you pay tax. Every time you purchase something, you're paying a sales tax. So we have people in this country that are paying taxes but unable to tap into the social services that they deserve. And so this is something I truly believe, especially as we're talking about our Haitian population that have been used and abused, especially by Ron DeSantis' government here. And so there's just a lot of work that needs to be done.
It's a wonder. I mean, talking immigration is a really hot topic, because I was reading, I think it was yesterday, where the lieutenant governor for Florida wants
yeah.
to send all the Cubans, because I think so far we've got about 180,000 Cubans that have been coming to Florida this year,
Yeah.
and they want a pattern. They want to take the same trend that the governor in Texas, who my side note is I really don't like, he and DeSantis going one neck and neck. Anyhow, I digress. They want to send all the Cubans to Delaware because that's the state that the president is originally from, and it's like, I am so tired of the name calling and the it's just it's just degenerated into what it is. Another topic that is really important for me is education here in Florida and what he's doing to that, and the fact that they're using the school boards to just be nasty. Getting rid of the people that are truly there to serve, and just bringing in people that are just there to name call and just turn the whole. Max, there's so much that you got to do when you get to the Hill.
There is a lot of work to do. But you know what? I'm excited to do it. I know that we have some great people in DC now. We're going to have more great people go up to fight for the world we deserve. And that's really what this has to be about, fighting for everything and everyone.
Do we know yet the date for the deadline for voting? Because I know November 3rd or 8th is election. Do we know yet the date, the deadline to register to vote?
Yeah, let me see. Let me look at it right now, because it we'll tell everyone what it is. But so election day is in November. 29 days before the election is when everyone needs to be registered.
Okay.
So everyone should get registered now, because there's no time like the present. So just
So Matt, another question for you. I know that it's going to be very hard. It's going to be a hard fought election. It's not going to be something easy. And as you mentioned, you don't take anything for granted. You just won the primary. You're going to have some formidable opponents in front of you. So you're going to need all the supports that you need. So now, what would you say to the voters? What is the game plan? What should they pay attention to when you're on the trail?
Well, we need everybody to get out, make their voices heard. And for me, again, this is about the fight for everything and everyone. Our agenda is about love. And I know we don't talk about love a lot in politics. I think that's part of the problem with politics. But it's a love that says, because I love you as your member of Congress, as your future member of Congress, hopefully, I want you to have health care. I want you to live in a world free of gun violence. I want you to be able to make decisions about your own body. I want you to have the resources you need. I want you to live, without the crushing debt, right? And this agenda of love is not left. It's not right. It's not progressive. It's not moderate. It's not, it's not Republican. It's not Democrat. It's the people versus the problem. And that's what this needs to be about. So we need everyone to go out, register to vote, make your voices heard, understand that no one politician is going to save us. Just electing me won't change everything tomorrow. We have to be honest with each other about this, but it's about building a greater movement. And, I think Maya Angelou says in the best way, I come as one, but I stand as 10,000. And that's the way we have to be thinking about this. When I'm in Congress, I will come as one, but I will stand with our whole community. And guess what? We also got to work at getting that 10,000 in office across the country and ensuring that we have good people everywhere.
Yeah,
I love that. This one thing that you said, and I quote, people versus the problems, correct? And it's a very nice thing. So now another thing that I really wanted to highlight. You mentioned Medicare, and I've seen it on your website, and I know how that is important to our community, especially the elderly community, how they are affected by this. So, what would you say to them in terms of your game plan once you're elected?
Well, what we need to do is the first step is so I believe in Medicare for all. That means that I want to work to a place where everybody has health care, no matter who you are. That's my North Star. I know we're not going to have that tomorrow. I know we're not going to have it next year, but I think we can have that in this decade. But what we need to do in the meanwhile is strengthen what we have, strengthen Medicare, strengthen Medicaid, ensuring that we work to include hearing aids, dental work, and vision, and also mental health care as well for everyone. These things are not included right now in a real way. So we have to ensure that we include these things. We need to work to lower the cost of prescription drugs. No one should pay more than $200 a year for their medication. I don't care if it's life-saving medication or allergy medication. No one should pay more than $200 a year for the medication that they need. And for people who say that's too far left, oh my God, we're the only nation of our stature in the world that does not guarantee healthcare for every single person. Now that is radical, if you ask me.
Health
Very
care
sad.
for every single person, and maternity leave for women, because I mean, we talking facts here. Women do have babies. You know, you find that in the banana republics, which they like to call it the banana republics, women do get maternity leave. They get cost of living allowance. The families get cost of living allowance. And yes, this is the only country of this stature where you do not have those benefits implemented, and it just makes absolutely no sense. You know, when you can give these benefits to the working woman or the working man or the working families, you find that when you care, people tend to care. They will go through more hopes for you when you show that you care, but just by giving them little things like that, maternity leave, and quota, which is cost of living, and all those things. So yeah, let's make it so, right? Let's make it so.
So Max, there's another issue also that I really tap into, because I'm gonna go back to gun violence, and because we know the carceral population, those are in jail, they are disproportionately, they're African Americans. The laws sometimes they don't favor the people in my community, and then you know what has been happening in the past. And still now, we are police states, and then we are, we profile, like, we know what happened during the Trump administration. So what is your thought in some of the laws, and how we could reduce the number of Black and brown and being in jail and unjustly?
This is a great question, and there's things that can be done immediately. When I worked at the ACLU, something that we pushed was working for the executive branch to, with the strike of a pen, decarcerate federal prisons by 50%, letting go of nonviolent people from prison. And so that's something that I will work to push the president to do. It is important, and we need to decarcerate. We house more people in our prisons than all the other nations, but we're the democracy, right? And so I think it's important that we do that. The next thing we need to do is get rid of these arbitrary laws and structural rules that that criminalize the color of your skin and criminalize how much you got in your bank. And that's really what this is. So eliminating the cash bail system, which essentially allows richer people to get out of jail before they're sentenced, and poor people to have to serve additional time before they're even sentenced to a crime. So that's one thing that needs to happen. We also need to get rid of these predatory pre-trial plea bargains, which essentially coerce and push people to plead guilty to crimes that they probably, a lot of times didn't commit, simply because they don't have the money in the bank to sustain an actual legal case. And a lot of times they're put in a tough situation with their public defenders, where they have to, where they have been put into these predatory plea deals. And a lot of the times they're people that look like you and I, right? And so there's just a lot of work that needs to be done here. I think at the end of the day, we got to look at things holistically too. If we are able to create a world where people have healthcare and the money they need to live, guess what? People are less likely to commit crimes. And so all these issues are connected.
Oh, absolutely. And thank you, Max. I don't know if Lyma, before we go on the break, if Lyma has a question.
I don't have a question as much as a statement, because I worked in the prison with the Florida Department of Corrections through a contractor. So I was able to see firsthand. I'm still there. I can't, of course, call the name of the prison. But one of the things I would like us to look at is the fact that they have to serve at least 85% of their sentence before they can even be considered for parole. And when you have a prisoner that in the system because of the color of their skin, and there are a lot of them in there, and they have to serve at least 85% before they're considered for probation or even parole. I'm sorry. This is something that we need to look at, because again, it's another poll tax in a sort of way, So, yeah. I mean, and you have it's just not a good thing, especially when you have to be there every day. And I spent 4 days, 10 hours a day among these inmates. And trust me, it is not a good situation. It is not a
Yeah.
good situation. But we have Miss Sandra Fatmi in the waiting room. So, Max, we're going to get you again before you head up to the hill, before like in October or so, we can bring you back.
Yes, of course. I want to be back, so just hit me up. And much love to both of you. Thank you so much for everything you do, keeping the community up to date on everything. We need to support independent media as much as possible. So thank you.
Thank you, Max.
We'd like
Good
to
to
invite
have you.
Wait just a sec. We'd like to invite you, Max, to go to the website and subscribe, because we want to invite a lot of people to subscribe on the YouTube page, because everything is archived there. So please just switch over from here to the YouTube page and subscribe. We really, 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 really would appreciate it. Sorry
Yeah,
about
for
that.
sure. I will go subscribe right now.
Appreciate it.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Max. And I wish you well, and we'll see you soon.
All right. Much love, y'all. Bye.
Much love to you too.
Bye.
Bye.
We'll take a short break and we'll be right back.
Yeah. Ms. Val Branch Duncan, realtor with North Star First Properties, where there's buying, selling of properties in the Caribbean and North America. She specializes in the Bahamas, Barbados, Grenada, Guyana, Jamaica, and Trinidad and Tobago. Please give her a call at 321-303-9345.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Caribbean Straight Talk. With you is Georges Bossous Jr. and Lyma Dunbar. In the waiting room, we have Sandra Fatmi-Hall, and she's an activist. She's a community leader. And we will be talking to her and, jog our minds a little bit about some of the project that she has in the community and what we can do. And of course, we're going to be talking about voting rights and the reason why you should be considering leaving your living room and go to vote. And we could bring Ms. Fatmi. I hope that I pronounced her name properly. I don't want to murder your name. Welcome to Caribbean Straight Talk, Ms. Fatmi.
Thank you so much. Good evening. Good evening, Ms. Lyma Dunbar, Ms. Michelle, and Mr. George. Pleasant good evening, the People's Chat Room. Thank you all for having me.
Oh, no, this is Caribbean Straight Talk. The People's Chat Room is on Saturday.
Oh, it's on Saturdays. Oh my goodness. I'm so
It's the
I'm
same
so
family.
used to that.
The same family.
Oh my God.
So
Please forgive
it's
me.
okay. It's okay. Ms. Fatmi, I know that you're very familiar with Lyma because I'm sure that she introduced you tons of times, and I know that
Yes.
Mea in the background also, she's a friend. And we haven't met, but I've heard a lot about you
Thank
and
you.
some of the work that you've done, and I've read your background. It seems like you're very outstanding. And I would want you to, for these viewers, because I know that the people chat rooms, they know about you before, but the Caribbean, Straight Talk audience is building. And if you were to tell them a little bit about your background and some of the work that you've been doing.
Okay, Caribbean Straight Talk. We're going to start again. I'm Sandra Fatmi-Hall, and it's such a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me. Well, I'm a community leader, game changer, and definitely a genuine servant leader in the community. And I've been for the last 12 plus years in this community, giving back to our community. I wanted to be the change that the community needs. So we started the United Foundation of Central Florida almost 9 years ago. And we started that to empower communities one family at a time. And I have to tell you, it took hard work, grassroots, foundation pulling, knocking on doors to talk to people and say, hey, listen, this is what we're bringing to the community. Do you think it's a great idea? We work through the schools. And I'm happy to say that a number of people stepped up. And today, we have three vibrant programs under the United Foundation of Central Florida. And I would be remiss not to shout out our board members, first starting with Mr. Dennis Hall and the community that has embraced us and helped us to be where we are today. I am excited to share that today, our numbers and the work that we've put in the community has led us to mentoring over 600 young people, not just in Evans, but throughout 8 different schools that we have helped to bring about a positive change. When you enrich the young lives of our young people through mentoring, you can see progress. The surveys have showed 80% succeed with after school enrichment and mentoring and some additional activity, just not academics. And in Evans High School, almost 200 young people have graduated from our program. I'm excited about that. It's called the Future Leaders United, which means that every single person that goes through that program is a future leader in whatever they choose to do, right? Just not doing anything is not an option. We also have the scholarship program that over $200,000 in scholarships have been awarded to our young people. And this is for vocational school, higher education, vocational school, and the military, of course, right? There's always different options. Everyone is not meant for higher education. We do need our plumbers and our mechanics, right? So we encourage you as a young person to do something productive with yourself. Not doing anything is a non-negotiable. And then we have, of course, our food insecurities program, which I tell you have done an amazing job with up to 3 million meals provided to our community. And I want to educate our community. When we say up to 3 million meals, it's probably a little bit more than that. The average person that came to the food drive left with anywhere over 100 plus pounds of food, and every pound is equal to a meal, right? So two pounds equals a meal. That to tell you how much food it is that we have given away. Then we have our center. Our solutions center provides just that, solutions. It provides jobs. It uses a holistic approach to embrace the community, right? And to be that support system, that backbone in place to help our community thrive. So I'm excited that we have done that work on United Foundation and several organizations that I've partnered up with. I'm super excited that it's been the change, and crime has decreased 33% over the last 5 years. And I'm excited about that because a number of that was juvenile numbers, right? Not all, a lot of it was juvenile numbers. And I must say the graduation rate at Evans High School, since we've been there, has increased from 48% to 97.6%. So I'm excited.
Okay, so
That's very
you
impressive.
remember I was saying
Yeah.
earlier on, George, that when people know you care, then they tend to care. So, Sandra, you've done so much work in the Pine Hills area, and you've shown that you cared, and
Yes,
they
ma'am.
reciprocated. Okay, so when you see that change in graduation rates, they reciprocated because they
Yes.
realize that they've got someone who's going to fight for them. And because
Yes.
I think the Pine Hills neighborhood or the Pine Hills area needed something like that. They really needed something like that. So kudos to you.
Thank
Um,
you.
I want to just switch gears a little bit because I know we got to be off at 9 exact because we got DJ Sweeber coming on.
Okay.
Um, you were a bit disappointed in the turnout for voting because you've been hitting the ground for 14 months 14 months, and when it was time for people to come out and vote, you mentioned on the PCR on Saturday that in one particular precinct you had over 4,000 people that were registered to vote, and only 1,000 showed up. And
Not even.
not
You're
even
right. Not
one of the
even.
things we were saying earlier on in the start of the show was that people don't quite get that the presidential election, even though it is important, it is not the most important. You need to select your commissioners, your school board members, your mayors. You need to select the right people to speak up for you. And when you don't show up to vote, by default, you get nothing.
You couldn't have said that any better, but I'll always give you kudos for every platform that gives us an opportunity to keep educating and empowering the community. Whether it's you, whether it's Lady D, Wayne Golden, Miss Mea Allman, whatever platforms that we get, you all give us the opportunity to talk about this. Lyma, we've been talking about this for months. I've been on this campaign trail for 14 months, right? And we've been having the same conversation. It typically shows 21 days for you to change behavior. This is at a point now where it's pretty serious. They're not listening. Why aren't you listening? Is it because you don't want to listen? Because I'm telling you, being mad with an elected official or a politician, right? Because they're politicians and they're elected officials. There's a difference. Being mad with your politicians because they're not doing what you expected them to do, or they're not leading the way you thought they would, it's not okay. You're not doing any difference just going ahead and stopping. Oh, I'm not going to exercise my right to vote because I'm mad. You're putting them back in office, not voting. Right? The only single way to get the community moving and growth is vote, vote, vote. You know, Martin Luther King said it. The day you become silent about things that matters, it's pretty serious, right? And it
Absolutely.
matters that we put, right?
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, Sandra. If I could call you Sandra,
Yes.
Thank you. So the thing is, if you vote them in, then you can vote them out.
Sure.
You see, so it's just like, okay, I vote them in, they didn't do what they're supposed to do, so I'm not gonna vote anymore. No, you vote them out. You know, you stay in their face. You're making sure that you exercise the power that you have, the bullet, the ballot that you have in your hand. It's very, very, very. It is very, very, very powerful. And I've been saying that several times, even on my campaign trail when I was running, and also even when I was an organizer. And I told people, look, if something is rotten from the inside, you don't wait outside and throwing rocks and expecting something to happen. You have to get in and change it from within.
Absolutely.
And one way of doing that is to exercise your right to vote and making sure that you vote the right person in office. If this one doesn't do the job, vote him out, put somebody else. Until you find the right person who would respond to your need. But
absolutely,
it doesn't make any sense for you to sit down and expect a miracle. It's gonna just go from bad to worse.
And let me tell you, I'm sure this happens every election, but let me talk about District 2, what I saw in District 2, which is extremely important for the listening audience to understand, right? It's important for them to understand that what took place here in District 2 is pretty serious. They must pay attention and follow the money. When I say follow the money, you had a candidate that jumped into my race that was in there for a specific reason, right? And when you look at individuals getting money to do what exactly it is that they're getting money to do, it's extremely important that people are not just falling for book bags, turkey drives, free drinks, or anything else along that line that sways their votes. It's important. You're looking for sustainability and you're looking for long-term sustainability. You're not looking for temporary gain because that produces no growth.
You're right. And they play that game all the time in every election.
All the time. It will catch up with them eventually, though.
Exactly, Lyma.
Well, I am the timekeeper here, and I'm looking at the time. Sandra, we will have to invite you back. You do know that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
We casa su casa. I know Spanish wise I said something wrong there, but you understand what I'm talking about. And because let me just say this before we kind of try to wrap it up. There was a name on that ballot that I didn't know where that person came from. I really didn't know where that person came from. And the fact that people are being paid to jump on the ballot just to muddy the water, just because there's some ulterior motive. Obviously, you're not really concerned about your city. You're not concerned about your county.
At all.
But again, we want to encourage people to please register to vote and vote and vote and vote, not just in the upcoming election in November, but every time. Again, Sandra, let me just say this. I really want us to figure out for you to make that decision that we want to educate the public as to the importance of voting. Once you say, Lyma, we're going to do it, we're going to be on board, because I really think consistently reaching out to people will kind of like get the message across. I'm hoping.
Okay.
All
right. Yes, I like that. Hope. That four-letter word, hope.
That'll work. George, you got to say
That's
anything before we wrap it up?
No. I just wanted to congratulate Sandra, Miss Fatmi, for her work, and I think that you should continue doing that. We're behind you because what you're doing here is needed, especially in communities like Pine Hills and other communities as well. We know the stereotype that's been linked to those children, and we know how they grew up, the environment they were brought in is not for their fault, but it's something that's been created to find themselves in it. So they need us to step in and change that environment for them. So we could have we could have a very thriving citizen, and with the intelligence, they have the mind that they have. You'd be surprised some of the kids that you graduated, the level of intelligence that they have. It's amazing, but you give them a little opportunity, you'll be surprised what they could come up with. So again, thank you. Do you have a last word before we just segue and wrap it up?
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. And always when you think of Sandra, think of the 3 P's: people, passion, and purpose. That will always be my mission.
Thank
Thanks
you,
again.
Sandra. Fatmi-Hall. We want to say goodnight to each and every one of you because we've got to go, and we will see you right here on Caribbean Straight Talk next Monday from 8 to 9 p.m. on iTunes Radio with simulcast on islandbeatradio.net. We want to thank our guests, Mr. Maxwell Frost, and of course, Ms. Sandra Fatmi-Hall. You have a blessed one.
And please don't forget
iTunes
subscribe Caribbean Straight Talk on our YouTube channel. Thank you. Good night.
iTunes Entertainment Magazine, where the focus is to bring information and entertainment wrapped in a little something extra that is pertinent and relative to all of us, regardless of culture. Our features aim at catering somewhat to the curiosity in all of us, whether it be business, entertainment, health and wellness, immigration, our youth, and more. So please visit our website at www.itunesentertainmentmagazine.com or itunesentmagazine.com. Also inviting you to check us out on IG and Twitter at iTunes and Mag.